Welcome back, everyone, to our Making It Fun Career Mode series in NASCAR Heat 3. So our last couple of races have been easy victories, and that's certainly not what we're interested in. So we're going to be making some changes going forward, at least in most of the races coming up. And we'll talk about that a little bit more, but for now, we need to get started with our dirt series and prepare for Drebin. So let's go ahead and click on the next race and then prepare. Okay, so we're not going to do any further improvements either to the employees or the equipment or anything like that. Looks like we've got Drebin, the short track, coming up now, and then Jefferson, the road course, will be after that. So let's go ahead and adjust our work plan. And we'll put William on the engine, and then Wendy, Arrow, and Hector on suspension. Okay, that should get us where we need to be there. Let's come back over to our road course chassis and get Jake, Stella, and Andrew busy working on it. Okay, let's go ahead and start the work there. And you can see 99, 96, and 97 in bay number 1 for our short track chassis. So that is what we're looking for. Let's back our way out and then simulate this race and hope we get some good results on both Twitter as well as in the finishing. Okay, so 8th. So it seems like 8th to 11th is kind of where we're stuck. We pick up 18 more fans, but most importantly for us at this point, $10,963. That's really what we're interested in out of our dirt team right now. And even better, a nice bonus. Eli gives us some positive feedback rather than some of the negative feedback that we get whenever we sim these races. All right, so that's going to take care of that. Some nice money that we've made. And now we're going to move on to our next truck race. So we're back to the Camping World Truck Series, and this is where I'm going to make a change for this race. We talked about in the past how as I wanted to continue upgrading our car, but I knew at a certain point that was going to make us get some easy victories at certain tracks and maybe most of the tracks. Well, I'm going to try to curtail that starting at Michigan. Michigan is a track that I am very concerned that we would get a runaway victory if I use my own setups, given the strength of our car. So I'm going to back out of that. I'm actually going to use one of the default setups. I'm not sure which one that I'm going to use. I'm going to actually run a few practice laps probably in a couple of different ones and just choose one. So this isn't going to be about me choosing the absolute best one. It's just going to be me sort of picking a couple of them out, running a couple of laps, and just seeing which one I think would work best. That's how we're going to approach that. We've got 2 races left to the playoffs, and I do not want easy victories headed into the playoffs. So let's go ahead and prepare for Michigan. Now, unfortunately, we don't quite have enough money at $83,623. We don't quite have enough money to get up to a 95 engine or suspension for now. Of course, we could do a little employee training, but we don't really need to do that right now. We're perfectly fine in that area, so we'll just adjust the work plan. And let's see where that's going to get us. So Michigan, of course, is a speedway. Then we go to Bristol, a short track, and then we're going to have the road course chassis after that. And you notice we don't have a road course chassis, so that's going to be an interesting race for us. We'll have to decide if we're going to purchase one. And if I take a look at that, it's going to cost us $82,000. So we could do it right now if we wanted to. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do it. Let's just go ahead and purchase that road course chassis. Of course, that opens up the possibility of having even more employees, but we're not really interested in going down that road just now. So now we have 4 chassis that we have the possibility of working on, and again, more employees that we could hire. But we're going to head back into adjust the work plan, and we're going to come down to bay number 3, which is the speedway chassis that we had worked on a little bit last time. Let's go ahead and assign Jillian to the engine, and then we'll work our way through these others as well. Okay, let's get Mark there, and then after that, we're going to need a short track chassis prepared. So we'll get Andrew, Chris, and then Stella busy working on it so that it'll be prepared as well. Okay, let's back our way out and start the work plan. Okay, everything looks good there. Our Speedway chassis is now 90, 95, and 90. So full marks across the board based on the current selection of equipment that we have. And then, of course, our short track chassis is coming along quite nicely as well. So we're going to back out of that, and it's time to head to Michigan. All right, it is race time here in Michigan, and boy, using the default setup sure made a difference. We will be starting 20th in the field, and so we didn't have a whole lot of speed at all. This thing is really tight, so I'm going to have to crank a lot of wheel in it, and who knows, we might just wear the tires plumb out in this race. It should be very interesting, but I don't think there's any shot of us getting up to the front and leading laps. I don't think we're going to get anywhere close to the front of the field, but we'll see. I'm hoping, best case scenario, maybe a top 10, because again, I'm looking for playoff points in both stages as well as a good finish. But wow, this thing is really tight. I am using setup number 8, which is on the loose side. I decided not to go all the way to 9 because again, I'm trying to be careful with our speed here and make sure that we don't have enough speed to get up front and lead a bunch of laps. So we'll see how well we do with that. But we're using setup number 8, which is considered loose, with 9 being the maximum that you can get on loose from the defaults. But yeah, so far this thing is really tight on entry. In fact, I'm having to breathe the throttle right here, and it's still hard to keep it down without coming out of the throttle even more. So let's see what we've got. All right, we're going to try the high side a little bit. Here we have got a nice run, and we are moving up through the field quicker than I expected. I thought it might be a tremendous struggle for us to get to the top 10 if we could even make it. But right now it is looking like we've got the speed to get to the top 10. All right, I'm not sure I want to go to the high side here, so I'm going to back out of it. We got 9 laps here in stage 1. Woo, really tight. Okay, just going to have to recalibrate my mind on how tight that is on corner entry. But we got 9 laps here in stage 1. We're on lap 3, so plenty of time to pick up at least one more spot that we're going to need to get some stage points.
Still there.
Now the stage points, unless we win a stage, really aren't going to matter for us right now. Not until we get into the playoffs, because right now we have a lot of playoff points compared to our competitors. But the reason why I really want to get maximum stage points and then the best finish is because that is a great habit to get into. Just focus on getting as many points as you can in each race, regardless of whether or not you actually need the regular season points or not. That's the same sort of approach that I plan on taking into Xfinity and then finally into Cup, as I would imagine that these are going to continue to be an increased struggle due to, in large part, the money we're going to have to put into it in order to improve our cars. All right, look at that. I was able to hold it wide open right there, but you could see how much I washed up the track. And that's going to take its toll on the tires. The harder you run these tires, now it's a bit of an interesting dynamic here, and something that I feel like I'm talking a different vocabulary than other people when we talk about tire wear a lot of times. Because for me, tire wear is a very different thing. I look at the way tire wear works in real life, and we have tracks like, you know, Atlanta, and used to be Darlington, and it's getting back there as well. Kansas, Chicago, you name it. In real life, these tracks have anywhere from 2 to 3 seconds per lap of fall off over the course of a run. And somewhere like Atlanta, it's very quick. You lose a second within the first 7 or 8 laps at Atlanta. And then, you know, it continues to approach, you know, 2.5 to 3 seconds over the course of a run. So that's the way I view. If you tell me that a game has tire wear, then that's what I'm expecting, somewhere along those lines. It doesn't have to be exact. In fact, NASCAR 2003 wasn't even that close to real life on those. But here in NASCAR Heat 3, just as it was with Heat 2 and I believe Evolution, it's been a couple of years now, so I've forgotten a lot about that game. But you don't have tire wear per se in this game. You have, if I pull up, hit the B button a couple of times, you can see we have the tire status, which is the percentage of tire life remaining. And you can see we have 93 to 94% of the tire left on the left sides, and then 95s on the left side. Excuse me, the 93 or 94 on the right sides, and then about 95% on the left sides. So yes, we are technically getting tire wear simply because, let's see, let me focus here for just a second. I know we're about to lose a spot. We're about to lose a spot here simply because I am not attempting too terribly difficult to keep it down on the bottom right now. All right, let's see if we can pull it back ahead here. No, looks like he's going to get us there. Okay, so you can see that the tire life is actually decreasing as we go along. You know, we've gone from 95 to 94%, and that's going to continue as we move along. And of course, it will be better or worse depending on how your truck is driving. If you're like we are right now and it's really, really tight, then your right front's going to wear at an accelerated rate compared to your right rear. So what we're looking at is a situation where in this game, just like with Heat 2, there is no real tire wear fall off. The numbers keep going down on the tire life, but there's no fall off. The truck handles exactly the same for me on lap 1 as it does in, you know, in lap at the end of the stage, you know, whenever it is, or end of the fuel run. So you don't really have that. All right, let's see. Do we need to pit? Lap remaining 41. Well, not in this stage though, in this upcoming stage. So I think we'll stay out here. We certainly don't need tires at this point. We're not going to pit, and we should have plenty of fuel for this second stage. So we come home just inside the points in 9th position there. So we're going to try to use that and see where we can go from here. But you have, going back to our tire wear discussion, you don't have any tire wear fall off until you get to about 40% tire remaining. So we got a long way before we get there, but at about 40%, and then thereafter, you're going to have some tire wear fall off. And it's going to be pretty dramatic. It's sort of like falling off a cliff. You don't have any for a very long time, but then all of a sudden you fall off the cliff. Well, the bad thing is, number one, that's not how it works in real life. I mean, you don't just run 40 laps on a tire and then all of a sudden it starts to wear. It loses speed either gradually or in big chunks at different parts of the tire life. Well, what you have here is it takes a long time to get to 40% wear unless you have a terrible handling car or truck. I mean, if you, oh my goodness, he got out of the gas big time there and I almost ran over Friesen. But here in the game, it takes so long. In fact, most of the time, I run entire fuel runs in testing and never even approach 40% wear, or 40% tire life remaining, which means I never get into any tire wear fall off. Now that's very frustrating for me because tire wear fall off is one of the crucial, not important, it's crucial to great racing. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have tire wear fall off, then everybody can simply run every lap like it's qualifying. And you never have to worry about changes in handling. You don't have to worry about saving tires. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So with that in mind, tire wear fall off is absolutely crucial. Ouch. A little nudge there from behind by somebody. So that's, and I understand why the game does what they do and why the developers made the choices they did regarding tire wear and fall off. It's because this is basically an arcade game. I wouldn't even call it simcade as some people would do. To me, it doesn't have very many, if any, simulation elements to the game overall. So, and the ones that it does attempt to do, it does very poorly at. So I'm not even going to give it even a partial simulation name or designation. It's an arcade game. And as an arcade game, you're not certainly, looking to maximize difficulty and on things like tire wear and all that. So it does make sense given the type of game they're developing. I just see so much potential if they could just add another mode. Just keep it simple like that. Just add another mode that is a little more simulation based. It doesn't have to be full sim mode. We're not looking for iRacing 2.0 here. We're not trying to compete with iRacing, but if it could just be a little more toward the simulation aspect, then I think that would really help out in getting some more fans over to the game outside of the arcade fans that are here now. And a lot of us are running this game because it's the only NASCAR game available, unless you want to spend lots and lots of money for iRacing, which I did for a very long time. But ultimately, I just didn't have the time to put into it, nor the money to make it worth it long term. It was a lot of fun, but it just wasn't anything I could do long term, mostly because of the money. So I feel like there's a huge opportunity there. That's what disappoints me about where this game is. But again, given what they are trying to accomplish, I think they're doing an okay job of it. All right, right now you can see we are just on the back edge of the top 10. We can work our way up to, somewhere around 7th or 8th. Wow, even with a big lift there, we're still having a hard time. All right, let's get rid of that tire status. We know we're going to come in and pit at the end of stage 2, so that's something we already know because we're not going to be able to make it on fuel to the end of the race. And if we're going to do that, we might as well change 4 tires. Whether the AI will change tires or not, I have no idea, but we might as well, and that's going to send us to the back, which is just going to make it more fun. I think in this situation, we're going to try to get up on that high side and see if we can make up some more spots in that final stage. All right, so we're in, it says goal position number 5. That's perfectly fine. Oh, look at that. Oh, we got to our inside. Okay. I believe that's Dalton Sargent. Yeah. So Sargent got to our inside there. He's been right around us the entire race. We've been racing around the same group of guys. All right, so we're on the final lap, and you see these guys are pulling away from me a little bit right now. And that's simply because I cannot keep full throttle going through the corner unless I am in clear track so that I can arc it in there. But if I can't arc it in there, I have to lift. All right, we'll keep it wide open here, but you can see I'm not really making up any speed on them as we come off, so we'll come home with another good finish. We got our goal made for the first 2 stages. We finished in the points each time. Not quite as high as we've been doing the last few races, but that's certainly expected. Let's see, laps remaining 31, estimated fuel. Okay, so let's go ahead and pit and we'll do what we talked about. Let's see. Okay, so we just need 1 can of fuel. We'll go ahead and get the 4 tires. Like I talked about, it's not really a big deal either way. Look at the wedge number. This thing should be turning a lot better than it is as I take a moment here as time is running out on me just to sort of glance at the setup itself. Okay, we'll accept that and go on with it. And sure enough, there we go. You can see, I think everybody pitted, maybe except for
Be
for
ready
one truck there. So we're last on the grid here. We've got, look out, these guys are slowing down in front of me.
Careful, still there.
So we've got 28 laps remaining in the race, and so we're not quite to halfway, but very close to halfway with the way the stages break down. Now we're going to see if we can make it up through the field. We'll see about doing that on the bottom here at the start, but I'm thinking we're probably going to have to get up on that high side in order to maintain as much speed as possible. We'll see how it goes here. I am lifting out of the throttle, trying to stay off the apron because that is generally not a good proposition at these tracks. All right, look at the speed we're making up on these guys. So we're going to try to pull down and then force our way back up onto the track here as we approach turn 1. All right, I'm going to back out of this thing early.
Still there.
Okay, so we've made up a few spots here in
Clear all around.
the first lap or so. Let's get up on this high side here. Looks like Jennifer Jo Cobb really wanted that bottom, and she was willing to protect it.
Stay up high here. Stay up high. Careful.
We're going to see if we can't get up here on top and keep it wide open a little bit. Keep this thing wound out and get maximum speed. Look at that. He's going to pull right up in front of us and get that nice push from us. So a good move on his part there. Ultimately, we're going to have plenty of speed to get by him, but I certainly don't blame him for trying to pull up in front and get that push from us, and also try to break our momentum.
Stay low. Careful now. Still there.
All right, we're back to Forrester here in 19th. You could hear me have to get out of the throttle quite a bit right there on corner entry. Had to do it again in the center of the corner as we were getting a little bit too close to Forrester.
Still there.
So these default setups, I would say I've run them just a little bit of testing outside of career mode just to sort of see what they were like. I picked out a couple of tracks and ran all the way from the loose 9 to the tight 1, and they're certainly different. And I think they're going to keep us in the ball game and not allow us to have too much speed, because they're certainly not overflowing with speed in any of the setups, regardless of which one you choose. It's just a matter of choosing the one that feels best for you, or maybe you want to go for max speed.
Still there.
All right, that was nice of him to pull out of the way. All right, can I get enough? I was trying to pull out right at the last second and get just a little bit of arc into the corner, and I was able to run through there wide open. Not easily, but we were able to do it. That right front tire was screaming at us the entire time. All right, but we're only up to 18th right now. We started 31st here in this stage, and we're only a few laps into the stage. But you can see we're not running anybody down extremely quickly. So getting back up to where we were just inside the top 10 in 7th, 8th, 9th area, that's going to be a struggle here. We've got plenty of laps to do it, but we are certainly not blowing anybody away with our speed. So we're going to have to work at it.
Still there. You're all clear on the bottom.
Okay, so we're going to make that pass. I'm going to try to get back down to the bottom here. Oh, okay, I didn't expect Gilliland to be quite that slow. We'll try to get on his inside and make quick work of him. Oh, looks like he's going to pull down and side draft us. Okay.
All right, now you're clear.
There we go. Trying to maintain as much speed as possible, because I really want to get back up inside that top 10 and get a good finish. But so far, I must admit, this using the default setups has turned out to be a very good idea. I have a bad feeling about what would have happened had I used one of my own setups at this track. And that's certainly not what we want in this series. Oh, watch out. Turn, turn, turn. Matt Crafton's probably thinking, what in the world is this guy doing? He can't keep it on the bottom. And he would be right. All right, back way out of it on entry. Make sure I can get the car to turn, and also so we don't run under window shaders here in front of us. All right, let's see if he's going to give us any room. Not really.
Careful, still there.
We can sort of force our way through here.
20.
All right, I believe I just got the 20 to go message from our spotter. Wendell, stay back there. Stay behind us. Stay. We don't need to give up any spots here. Oh, looks like Anderson had to get out of the throttle. And we're going to give him a little bit of room here on corner entry. All right, let's see if we can get position on him coming off the corner. Looks like we should be able to. We're going to have enough motor to get there. I think so. But now you can see as we are in the top 15 now and closer to that top 10, it is harder and harder for us to make these passes. Basically, we have to run some of our better laps in order to make that happen. All right, can we swing to the inside of Nemechek? Oh, I thought he was going to give us room there. He decided not to at the last second. Got into his left rear a little bit. Not too bad, though. No harm, no foul. All right, let's see if we can get to his inside again.
Still there.
All right, now he's got to give us a little bit of room. Let's see if we can make the corner on the bottom.
Still there.
You see, he's still going to be on the outside because we struggle on the entry. Ouch.
Still there.
I guess John Hunter wanted even more room than I was giving him, which was about half the track. All right, so he's going to fight hard for 12th position. And then there's quite a gap in front of him up to 11th. So we need to hurry up and get by him and try to make our way. So we're going to try to get on his inside again and hopefully get through this corner a little better than we did last time. All right, that was certainly better than we did last time. Now we're going to jump up in front of him on the back stretch, try to get a little bit of a draft from him. We need all the straightaway speed we can get. All right, we're able to keep it wide open there through 3 and 4. Now, do we have enough speed and time to hunt down the top 11? Those guys are getting more and more spread out in front of us. And I think if we can just hold it to the floor, which should be pretty easy now that we're in clear track, I think we have the speed to run down at least a couple of these cars. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see how all that works its way out. All right, 15 more trips. I'm not sure we got enough speed to get these guys, even running wide open. So I'm going to invoke the Daytona Talladega method of driving. Anytime I'm wide open, particularly wide open easily on a track, the name of the game is just to scrub off as little speed as possible. As tight as this thing is, that's going to be a chore, but that's my job, is to scrub off as little speed as possible. See if we can't run these guys down. we are very close to a top 10, and I'm hoping we can bring that home. The good news for us, though, is that we are pulling away just a little bit from the guys behind us. All right, so we got a nice little cushion here. Let's just ride and make a few laps here and just enjoy the scenery. But the closer you get to the front of the pack, the more spread out things become for sure. But you can get into some pretty ruthless battles down, you know, mid-pack and below. All right, 12 more times around. And again, I'm just going to keep my foot to the floor and try not to scrub off too much speed. Really trying to unwind that wheel from the center of the corner off. And so far, yeah, this thing is just too tight for me to quite fully unwind before we get to corner exit. That's what I typically try to do, is unwind this thing as much as I possibly can. But the setup's just not going to allow that. So I start to unwind it from the center of the corner and then all the way off. But here I'm just having to keep a little bit too much wheel in it on corner exit. So our laps are dwindling down. If we're getting closer to those guys in front of us, then it's hard to tell just by using the eye test. We'd have to go into the leaderboard, and there's no real reason to do that.
10 to go.
All right, our final 10 laps. So now we're looking for a caution. Since we've had several laps here to try to run these guys down, and it's just not happening. So we've hit a lull here. We're in 12th, and that's pretty much as far forward as we're going to get without some help from a late race caution. And if we get that late race caution, then all bets are off, because we know we get up to speed quicker than the AI generally when using our own setup. So maybe we can get through the gears and get up to speed quicker than them on a restart and pick up a few more spots and get at least somewhere around 7th or 8th where we were earlier in the race. I'm noticing that John Hunter seems to be getting a little closer to me in our rearview mirror. They're also having some pretty intense battles back there. Looks like they're spending a lot of time side by side. But it does appear as though they're getting a little closer. Not sure if they're going to have enough time to really get to us at that pace, but they're certainly closer to us than we are to the truck in front of us. Alright, so we're going to be coming up to, what, 6 to go this time by. I'm spending as much time right now looking in our rearview mirror at the battles these guys are having as I am looking out the windshield. So we got not 6 to go, 7 to go. You can hear that engine bog down center of the corner. That's a function of the RPMs and just how much speed we're scrubbing off getting into the corner. You can hear the tires screeching just a little bit. Alright, our lead over John Hunter and the other trucks back there seems to have stabilized. Can't really notice that they're getting any closer now.
5 laps to go.
Still waiting for that caution. That's our opportunity to get inside that top 10. But even on strict yellows, come to think of it, since we've moved over to strict yellows instead of relaxed, we still haven't had very many yellows. I would have estimated we'd have had more than what we've had, but it's certainly not been an issue. We've had a few here or there, but for the most part, nothing to worry about. And certainly not to the level that I would consider, changing the caution status back to relaxed. We've certainly had more green flag racing than in a lot of online races you get into, unfortunately. I must say I'm very happy with where we are on the track. Our first opportunity to use the default setups here in the career mode, and given the strength of our car, I kind of like this. That tells me that if we're able to make our truck stronger and get up to around that 95 number on another piece of the car, then
Here to go, driver.
that would move us up a little bit more through the field, and if we had full 100s, then who knows, we might actually be able to get some victories. But our all-out speed just on the back edge of the top 10 to top 15 here is a good sign. That tells me that it's a good move to use these default setups, and that they're certainly not going to have an overwhelming amount of speed that's going to pull us away from the pack and get those easy victories. So very happy about that. In fact, our next truck race is going to be at Bristol, and I plan on using one there as well because of the same reason. I want to make sure that we don't have another one of those races where we qualify up front and then lead most every lap. All right, this is our final time around. We've got a huge cushion both in front of us and behind us. You can see we're starting to get some traffic up ahead of us. I'm not sure if some of that's not just lap traffic that they're starting to work through. And somehow we've gained a position up to 11th. Could have sworn we were in 12th. So somebody has fallen off the pace and may have dropped out of the race, because we certainly haven't passed anybody. All right, let's go ahead and continue on through. Look at that, 21 trucks on the lead lap by the end. Who got the victory? Ben Rhodes comes home with that victory. Okay, 11th place gets us 18,785. Nice. That should get us pretty close to the amount we need to do some more upgrades on our truck. And of course, at some point, we're going to have to start saving some money for the Xfinity car. I have no idea how much it's going to be because it doesn't tell me on the screen, the main menu screen, as we've seen with the other divisions. But I expect it to be quite a bit of cost, and I expect it to take a while for us to really move ourselves up in the standings. So we come home 11th, a total of $22,447, and we pick up 22 more fans. Okay, nice driving, and here's one of those funny messages. I just can't imagine any driver in real life posting something like that. It just doesn't make sense. But we'll take it. It's better than the alternative. I know I'm in the presence of greatness. That just doesn't sound right at all. All right, so now we are ready for Jefferson in the Dirt Series, and then we'll go to, I believe it's Bristol that is next in our final regular season race for the trucks. That'll do it for now. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned as we will continue our Making It Fun Career Mode series in NASCAR Heat 3.